Hello YouTube and welcome back to Outsiders. Sorry that you're not actually seeing me today, it might be a good thing actually. In front of us here we have a book, and I'm just going to move it around. At the top of the book, and I'm only putting it this way just for convenience for the camera work here, I've been given a remit to work to, which effectively I'm trying to build a quick storyboard here. Now this particular person's called Jody, and he sent me some information regarding his world or idea that he's got behind a campaign. He wants to run it in either 3.5 or Pathfinder, and the idea that he has is that there was once a world that became ravaged by magical warfare that turned into a wasteland, and naturally the gods abandoned this world. There were two great factions that remained. One created a portal to a new world. This idea is built off the idea of Terra Nova. Now he said, how would I go about storyboarding this beyond this point? Now he did give a few other tips and stuff and things he wanted to do, but I think what I'll do for this video is I'm just going to freeform it. So this is what I would suggest any GM does. This is storyboarding. Now I have used this in previous videos, but I'm doing this because when people come and ask me to help them, it's one of the reasons why I set the channel up. You look for inspiration, you look for ideas, and you look to support other people, and I'm really grateful for the question, and because of that I'm going to do the storyboard for him, or at least attempt to give him some ideas. The idea behind the magical warfare, I put a question mark on it because I'm not completely convinced by that, but I think there's some merit in it. I mean, it could be a number of things. So what we're going to do is that there was an event, we'll call it, and we'll just circle that. And from that event, effectively, what we have is that a portal was created to a new world. Okay, so we know it's going to go to a new world. Now I don't know what that new world's going to be called yet. I'll just move the camera a little. So we don't know what the new world's going to be called. So for the moment I'm going to call it let's see now, Kilaris. That'll do, Kilaris. There we go. So we'll just call it Kilaris just for convenience, just sounds good. And we need to ask some questions here. So the portal was created. We can understand the reasons why. Who created that portal? So I'm just going to run that up there. I'm going to just assume that it was powerful for wizards. And I'm going to put a little question mark on that. And actually sort of say to myself, there's a thought running through my head there. So I'll say powerful wizards. Or could it be actually the gods themselves that created the portal? Imagine that they left a roadmap behind. You've seen the film Prometheus? Well worth a look here. I'm just running the board over here. Maybe they left details behind. That's worth a thought. So I'll leave that over there. So again, you might not be able to see that, so I'll move the camera over. So you can see how the storyboard is switching across two pages. So I'm going to leave that there and come back over here. So there was a portal that was created that's ultimately led to this new world called Kilaris. Now his idea is based off the film Terra Nova, so that's there. But he obviously wants to develop this going forward. Now I suggest, rather than the characters are part of the first people to go through to Kilaris, I suggest that you base it, well you could do that, but I suggest what you do is you base it a generation, sorry about the spelling there, a generation ahead, so the characters are some of the firstborn and obviously old enough to adventure out on their own. Then that would make more sense. They wouldn't necessarily know all the ins and outs of the past, and then that leaves you a bit of freedom to actually think about what the actual event was, rather than have anything written in stone. It could have been something pretty catastrophic, and I do like the idea that the gods abandoned the world, but I also like the fact that gods maybe left a link behind, which is to this new world of Kilaris. Now I also think what would be quite interesting is that what you could focus on within the portal. Now in Terra Nova they went back in time, so what might be quite interesting is if we take the portal and just bring that round here for the moment and just put that little cross in. I'll just move my camera over. What might be quite interesting is to explore the fact that they went into the future. So it's the future Earth, or future Kilaris, that they actually go to. Future, we'll call it future Earth. So they actually go to the future Earth, knowing that obviously by definition the place has been destroyed. So hoping that by basing it into the future, pushing it into the future, creating a portal, making a pact, that would be quite interesting. We'll put a little line off the top of this actually, run that over there, and bring up the camera accordingly. Oops, I do apologise, we're going to have a little bit of camera problem. Let's bring that over. Yeah, making a pact. That's quite interesting. That gives us a main protagonist, potentially, that with who, though. So that's something you can think about. So that could be definitely something that's could definitely relay back in later. So let's come back down here for a moment. So we've got Future Earth now. Now, Future Earth, obviously, this will be set at least 1,000 years into the future. And that will probably give us then quite a lot of scope to work in, and also be quite exciting, because you'll have all the ruins of what happens. You'll have all the ruins that exist. Only a few gods will remain. But of course you've got your pact protagonist, because they had to strike a deal with someone to get to there. So I suspect what might be quite interesting is you could make what would be a creature that would profit from such a pact. There are quite a few that would, but it depends on the sort of style of game that you like. I mean, the three that spring to mind that would make interesting long-term protagonists in a campaign would either be devils, simply demons, but my favourite of all the three, there's actually a fourth as well, but we'll come to that. I quite like the idea of Tiamat. I just think it's the sort of thing that she would do. It's quite interesting. It would be very fascinating to have her as a main person tied into the campaign. You know, and also what's quite interesting with having her as the main person in this is, what about if in the future, you know, the world is actually quite strong with dragons, not weak with them at all. You know, you could think about it in terms of, I'll just put a couple of little links off the top. It could be like a dragon lance. Probably can't see that, so I'll just switch across. Dragon lance type of world, or it could be just very strong with dragons, and everybody that's come into the world from the portal has a bond with them, which is, it's just interesting. I mean, I'm not sure how strong that is, but it's an interesting little side link that could be worth developing. So let's come back over here for a minute. So what we have here down here is we've got Future Earth. We know it's about 1,000 years into the future. We've got loads of ruins, which are exciting because you've got things to do. There's always lots that can be explored and stuff. Plus you've got some connection to the old gods as well, which is good. Plus, being 1,000 years into the future, you've got the potential that when they struck that deal with the past, they had to make a pact with someone quite powerful. So either it was a devil, a demon, or something like Tiamat. And therefore, obviously, you know, that there's a number of sort of factions that exist in the future that could be quite interesting for the players to work off. Now, you've already told us that you sort of want the world to be very much a world where players will come in, do a lot of exploration, that sort of thing. I think like a Kingmaker type game from Pathfinder would really fit this. You could fit your idea into that quite neatly, and there are a number of creatures within the bestiary that would really work here. Gith Yankee would be a fantastic example of a creature that feels they might have settled onto Future Earth, and you know, could be serious competition for the players. And actually, it could be quite exciting because the Gith Yankee could be quite prevalent in the world. It's just a few ideas to help you get started, Cody. But let's recap quickly as we're running out of time on the video. I've taken your information. What we've already decided is that there was an event. A portal was created, either by powerful wizards or by making a pact. I prefer making a pact. I prefer making a pact itself. I think that the portal was probably, the information was given by the gods of how to get to Kalaris, which is over here. Kalaris being the future world, you could call it whatever you like. And obviously the characters are the next generation beyond, so they're not the first generation to pass through, the generation beyond. And what you decide that to look like. Future Earth is set 1,000 years into the future, however you want your world to be. And you can leave remnants behind. You can even take an existing world you've used and just absolutely decimate it, and then build this into it. Full of ruins, which is fantastic fun for exploration. The gods themselves, there would still be a tentative link. Sorry, I didn't really do that very well. Future Earth, 1,000 years, ruins, tentative link with the gods themselves. Across this side of the map, what we have over here is we have, we talked about the pact. Obviously somebody very powerful was approached to make the pact, to make the portal with the wizards. That might have been devils, demons, or Tiamat herself. If it's Tiamat, you've got a whole interesting side branch where you could have a future world which is like a bit like a Dragonlance type world, which is really strong with dragons. It's certainly something to explore. It's quite an interesting world, and it's definitely food for thought. I'll leave it there on this video. 10 minutes of me world boarding, just to give you some ideas and pointers. I hope it's strong enough for you, and I hope you like what you've seen. in this programme of 101. If you've got anything you'd like to ask, don't be afraid to ask me. My name's Sean Connors, aka the Outsider68. You can email me at sean.connors68@me.com. Till the next time, happy gaming and see you soon.